Alright, I always love watching everyone's toolbox tours. I really don't know why, but here's mine. So here's my little roll around cart if I'm not sticking it on the little mini cart. But mainly just 1/4 inches and 3/8 and 1/2 inch. I got a lot of 1/2 inch impact and not regular because I just happen to use a lot of impact. I love those little wobblies. I've got the 3/8 long end or a deep end short. The Germans got me, so I had to buy them there. And the little flex heads, I use them a lot with my little electric ratchet. But there's my common and flex head. Got some 1/4 inch, 3/8, and some 3/8 wobble kit there. Some impact 1/2 inch and 3/8. Some regular old snap-on pry bars there, and the cotter pin removal tool that gets used for just about anything but removing cotter pins, and the little plastic clip remover. They use the crap out of that, and then a little 1/4 inch nut driver, and the long ass nut uses a screwdriver, mainly uses a scraper, but whatever. And for regular old screwdrivers, some little plastic trim removal tools, little picks and awls, and screwdrivers, and then I got a little 24, a little 16, and I believe a 32 or 36. I don't remember. It's a 32 ounce. And then some ladies' feet. Drawer could use a little more than what it's got, but whatever. We'll fill her up someday. And then for all the plier sets, little locking pliers, which I know the Snap-on ones aren't the best, but they're alright. They get the job done. And then some hose pliers and just random whatevers. I love the little 45-degree offsets. That's probably what I use the most, and the long needle nose. But for electrics, I, for whatever reason, love them. I've got a lot of the Snap-on ones, most of the 14.4 that they make. And I can say after having that little Milwaukee 3/8 that the Snap-on ones just aren't that good in comparison. I love that little 3/8 one, as well as that 1/2 inch from Milwaukee. I got a nice IR air, and it'll get off whatever I need to get off, but I have yet to see that Milwaukee fail other than its battery running out of juice. But this 3/8 is probably the best one I've ever used. I would definitely suggest if you're going to buy a Snap-on and spend that kind of money on it, that's the one to grab. For all my wrenches here, I've got the line wrenches all the way up to your regular standard wrenches, and the 0-degree offset long ones that are just amazing. They're just so thin they can get in some tight spots, so they're definitely worth the nab. And some mid-sized, also some ratcheting huskies that you could just see how thick those things are. They're borderline useless. I mean, I use them on occasion, but for the most part, they're just too thick to get where you need to get. I've got the long flex heads. They're some cheapo brand, and it's annoying that they lose the stiffness and they start flopping around, but ultimately I use the crap out of them. I absolutely love them, even though they're cheap. The stubbies, and then some stubby ratcheting, the little crappy Pittsburgh Pros. I use the crap out of them. They're not very good, but they do the job, so get the job done. So for the larger toolbox is mainly my 1/2 inch, as well as all my standard stuff, except for I got a little 12-point metric set in there that I use occasionally, which is nice. I think it's only like a little 20 down, but it's nice. For the most part, all just standard stuff that I don't use all that much, and then Torx, and then the E-Torx, and some torque adapters there, or not torque adapters, but your little torque sticks. Those are cool. And the tech wrenches, I absolutely love these things. I got the 3/8 and the 1/2 inch one, and they've definitely proved their worth for sure. Some drum disc or drum brake tool sets. Some long, some of the little long pick sets, some hex keys, Torx keys, Allens, and A little nut driver kit I don't use a lot, and some extra pliers there, and then this is just kind of little random pieces there, scraping and whatever you want to do there. We got stuff my little extra Craftsman pry bar set in there just in case, a little Matco little door trim tool slash pry bar slash it gets used for anything and everything. The long plastic removal tools or little clip removals, those are awesome, very handy. And the radiator pick set, you gotta love that thing. It's hard to not use it for only hoses. You use it for pretty much everything you can get in that. But then for metric, I've got the some larger metrics that I use quite frequently, more than I thought. Some cheapo Harbor Freighters and the chain wrench. I use the crap out of that thing. I don't know why. It's just random areas you just find it and use it. And I'm just not a fan of some of those adjustables, but they're there and available and ready to strip things. And the standard drawer, not used frequently, just don't use a lot of standard nowadays. And maybe a rusted, jacked up bolt and get it on there, or a little bit older vehicle, but they're there and they get used on occasion. You got the little 75 piece tap and die from Craftsman, which has proved definitely made its money, that's for sure. And some calipers and little random removal speed out kind of things that they're okay, whatever, if needed they'll be used. And there's pretty much all air tools and a couple of the little 14.4s that don't get frequently used. Just bought a ball joint kit. I've rented them a bunch of times. I'm tired of renting them, so I took a deal on that one. Got some little oxygen sensor socket sets, bearing brace seals, and Honda crankshaft pullers, and just random things. The slide hammer is nice. I got a bunch of different little adapters, pilot bearing adapters and stuff like that. It's definitely proven itself. And I just bought a Pitman ball tie rod and like little puller kit that's have yet to use, but I've borrowed them from different locations multiple times to get a job done, and so now I don't have to borrow them. Piston compression, piston brake tools for doing your disc brakes. They're both direction. I use the crap out of it. I've done a lot of little cheapo brake jobs that is actually a nice kit for a cheap one. It definitely gets the job done. And then some disconnect shit for AC, fuel lines, and it's a lot of stuff. So the diagnostic cart is, I got a little Verdict. I believe it's only up to like 14.2, and then a Vantage to 14.4. The Verdict is not the best scan tool, there's no doubt about that. It comes with this little wannabe multimeter slash lab scope that is no bueno in comparison to like the Vantage, but I've matched them side by side and kind of went, why? That's definitely an ultimate fail from Snap-on. Hopefully they will not continue to produce that item. But we've got a nice little scope on a rope kind of chingadera there that actually gives you readings, which is fun. I'll use that thing more than a multimeter or anything. I'll grab that thing first. It's just quick and easy, gets the job done. And the Halo bolt thing, this thing's freaking awesome. Jumped my little Honda for like 2 weeks before it died because I was too lazy to buy a damn battery, but either way it got the job done for quite a while, kept me floating. Good for diagnostics on occasion when needed. And got the little Snap-on leak down tester, which is interesting because I have the Harbor Freight one as well. And I didn't really like the Snap-on one when I first bought it because it requires like 100 psi to do its job, versus the Harbor Freight one is only like 20 psi. But I've later found out how much better that is in the long run. So the Harbor Freight one gets the job done, but that one definitely makes you feel a little bit better of what you're doing, knowing for a fact that yes, it needs whatever, gasket, rings, whatever the case may be. Nice compression tester from Snap-on as well. Some relay testers, those are kind of cool. You can pull out the relay, stick the little testers in there, and stick the relay on top, and then you have a bunch of little testing ports. It's just quick, easy, not too bad. I like it. Regular old multimeter, and then a little thermometer and a cheesier scope on a rope. fuel pressure tester from Snap-on, which has been nice, the oil pressure tester from Snap-on, and then a little timing gear puller and just randoms that I've chucked in here. The Mighty Vac that sucks and blows, very, very nice. If you're going to go for a Mighty Vac, I would suggest that. I've ran into instances where I needed to bleed something that required pressure, and that has helped me get the job done. I always keep the Master Harbor Freight fuel pressure tester around, not because I like it, because I actually believe it's kind of a piece of shit, but I can utilize all the rest of the components inside of the kit with my Snap-on one to fabricate whatever testing scenario I come across, and it gets the job done. The Snap-on cooling system, this is the tester, it's fairly new from Snap-on, I believe, and it's fairly inexpensive for most of your Snap-on crap you have to buy, but this one is definitely gets the job done. I like it a lot. It's not failed me. I've got some Innova little scan tool there. It's supposed to be their better version. I just keep it in my truck for occasional help somebody out that wants to pull a code or something like that. And I got the Auto Ingenuity one. I haven't used it a lot. It's different. It's just another way to try. And then I got some little cheapo OBD2 one that sucks. And I got some AC 134 gauges, the little cheapo ones from Harbor Freight. I've done a couple AC jobs with them, and it's gotten the job done. I think it takes more time figuring out how to make those things seal than they're worth, but it's got a few jobs done. And a vacuum / pressure tester, use the crap out of that one. And then a block tester there, and a way to crank over a vehicle, which you can usually get inventive and not need one of those. Some larger open-end wrenches and some larger hex keys and just some random ring compressors or whatever tool I try and fabricate to help assist in some sort of bleeding procedure. And so I've done a little bit of transmission work and made this bad boy, and this thing worked better than the one at school where I actually had to compress internal components of the transmission and couldn't get it to function. But when I fabricated that, got the job done right away, so I was kind of impressed with it. Just random crap. I got a little 3/4 inch impact from Snap-on, and usually don't use frequently, but when you need it, you need it. Other than that, that's pretty much my toolbox tour. It's quick, down and dirty. I mainly don't do a lot of work other than at home, and I'm either trying to flip a car or working on that one for my daughter or fixing a buddy's car. I bought this bend pack asymmetric lift, and my suggestion would be if you want to buy one, they're cheap. They're, I think, $2,800 or something like that. And for a lift nowadays, I'd say that's pretty damn affordable when you're talking about getting a quality lift. However, you could put these things in a narrow and you could put it in a wide stance. I chose to put mine in a narrow because my garage is just too damn small, which ultimately I wanted to be able to put vehicles on each side of it and still maybe be able to work on a vehicle. But all that narrow has done is screwed me over, because there's been several vehicles I couldn't get on the lift because it was just too narrow and the arms were too long and they wouldn't fit unless I ran a vehicle so far forward to make it fit, and then it was just way too much weight on the front. So if you're interested in one of them, I would consider that as possibly a problem. Don't put it in a narrow stance. But other than that, I hope you enjoyed the toolbox tour, and good luck to you.